Oh, hey Matt. Long day. I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah. See ya.
Actually, sorry. I was just reading an invite to D&D. You want to join?
Has this ever happened to you? With D&D getting more popular over the last several years, invitations like this are becoming more and more common, and it's my opinion that you should be saying yes to as many of these as you can handle. D&D can be intimidating with roleplay and character sheets, and there's these rules, but really all of that is unimportant and easier to understand, and we're going to give you the tools to not only play in your first game of D&D, but to enjoy it and find a new hobby that you could potentially be playing the rest of your life.
Playing D&D can actually be broken down to a really easy pattern. Usually you tell the dungeon master what you want to do, and they'll give you some value or number, and then you roll this d20, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, typically it breaks down into like a skill check, an attack roll, or a saving throw. That's just fancy ways to apply different numbers to the dice. Your skill checks will be based on the way your skills shake out, and you roll the d20 and add those, as well as attacks based on your particular attack modifiers, and then saves will be defensive ways to interact with the d20. There will be additional bonuses. Most of those, if not all of them, will have some combination of whether you're proficient or not. It's a very simple modifier when you break it down to its core.
One of the biggest parts of D&D is actually getting into combat. Usually it'll start by rolling initiative, which will determine the order that you play in, and on each of your turns, you're going to have a few options. You have an action, you have a bonus action, a reaction, and a move action, as well as a free action to do light things like talking.
Sure, and to give you an example, assuming I was playing a fighter, as my move, I'd like to run in. As my action, I'd like to swing my axe. Because I'm a fighter and I've taken some damage as a bonus action, I'll do a class feature, Second Wind, and I'll wait to see if my opponents leave me an opening to take a reaction attack of opportunity. If you don't want to cast spells, just skip ahead. This will be irrelevant to you. But if you do, most spellcasting classes prepare differently, as well as learn spells differently. But at the end of the day, using magic is pretty similar. You'll use a unique kind of ammunition called spell slots. If you want to cast a level 1 spell, it'll cost you a level 1 spell slot. Check out the table next to your character or your character sheet, what we can talk about later, in order to tell kind of what ammunition you have available to you in a given day.
Spells that affect other people than just you will usually fall under two categories. One will be spell attacks. They're kind of like regular attacks, except you cast magic to do them. Kind of like Ice Knife. Ice Knife throws a knife of ice, if you could believe it, and if it hits someone, it explodes into a bunch of different shards. Then there's also things that do spell saves, like Charm Person. This one gives you some influence over that person's decision-making process for a short amount of time if they fail their defensive save.
Drew, what do you have there?
These are spell cards that our players actually use to remember what they do. And it's also very important to have them on hand because you need to read the spell. You need to know what it does. A lot of them are self-explanatory. Ice Knife and Fireball, hard to get wrong, but some of them are pretty detailed, and knowing exactly what they do is helpful more than it is harmful.
Yeah, it makes sense. And there's a lot of shorthand on these spells too. You'll see things like various abbreviations, V, S, and M being the most common. Verbal means there's a verbal component to your spell. You must speak the magic words to cast magic. Somatic means you have a hand wave or some other action you must do, whether it's finger wiggling or, in the case of Hemp, screaming is his thing. It's kind of weird. And M is a material component of some kind. While most spells and DMs kind of have their own lay of the land as far as material components, typically there's a wide range in this. This might be anything from like a small piece of string to a 500 gold or more gem. I would have that discussion with your DM in a moment just to figure out exactly what's going on, but I agree, read the spell.
Also important to check how much range and how much action it takes to do these. Some spells are really easy and only take a bonus, and some of them reach up to 120 feet. So just be informed as to what you're casting because you don't want to blow up your whole entire team.
And reading the spell explains the spell. The Artificer is a hybrid magical class focused on tinkering and inventing.
Leave me alone. I am busy tinkering. I am making the magic equivalent to a nuclear isotope.
The Barbarian gets angry, hits stuff, and becomes unkillable.
What are we doing here?
The bard is a jack of all trades, namely an entertainer, but generally the class clown.
It turns out all 5 of the women were beholders. Killed them all myself. No, I swear, it wasn't the easy.
Clerics are a particularly versatile caster with a focus on a theme such as life or light, but they're also one of the best healers.
Get out of my healing range. I swear to my God, you will die. You're going to die this next fight. You have to stay.
Druids are nature mages with a focus on wild shaping, becoming a beast, as well as some decent healing and utility.
Yeah, Mother Nature, she's all around.
Fighters are purposeful warriors with an ability to manage tactics and battle simultaneously.
I'm gonna walk up and I'm gonna hit him. Yeah, 32 to hit. I'm gonna hit him again.
Monks are mobile combatants, basically every Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee movie you've ever seen.
Run across the lake. I want to jump like 25 feet. I'm going to kick that guy in the balls. I'm going to bounce off of his head, and I'm going to flip over onto the next guy, and I'm going to bop him on his ass with my stick. And then no?
Paladins are generally holy warriors, but are balanced in offense and defense. Additionally, they can take a strong vow as the source of their powers as well.
I pray like every once in a while. Pretty good. They're bad people. I just run up and just smite them. Just boom, smite. Boom, smite. Get them again.
Rangers are the Boy Scouts of murder, but they have access to limited magic and nature skills.
It would be more like Legolas. Maybe I should have played fighter, but I know all the best poisons. You know, I know where all the animals are. I can hunt for food. I know the best way to flay skin from a human person.
Rogues are skilled, whether in talking or sneaking, but either way, you're dangerous in a setting.
Checking for traps, not looting first, checking for traps. You know, I'm using my trap testers.
Sorcerer. Really, the magic was in you the whole
I don't
time.
get why all these people are stressed about magic. Don't gotta devote myself to anything, don't gotta study. You know, it's not hard when dad fucks a dragon and, you know, little me pops out and chock full of magic. I'm overflowing with this stuff. You want some magic? Here.
Warlocks are the sugar babies of magic, and sometimes daddy steps in.
What's a transfer of souls between friends if you really think about it? Don't be so precious. Maybe I have to sacrifice an infant every few months or so.
Wizards find magical success through study typically, but the robes are optional.
Actually, I think that you should leave the magic stuff to me. I think that I could kind of handle this in a way that isn't gonna blow all of our bones out of our body.
Other than class, you have 2 big character decisions to make, which are race and background.
Yeah, and typically these are less mechanically intensive, but really they're more about the flavor of your character, how you want to look, how you want to feel, and the experience of your character in a game.
There are some things that have mechanics, like angel people can have flying speed, or dwarves know things about stones, so sometimes you want to make a decision based on that. And then backgrounds are even less mechanically intensive. They usually just give you a few skills, and that's about it. You know, one of the most intimidating parts about getting into D&D is making a character. And while you can spend hours and hours deliberating over your choices and making the perfect one, there are a lot of tools that are available these days to do it for you automatically, like fastcharacter.com.
Yeah, and to illustrate the ease of this shortcut, we've set up a bit of a contest between us, a speed run to generate a character using that tool.
All right, you two, I want a good, clean race. On my go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Done! Oh, fuck! Oh, let's go. We love fastcharacter.com. It's a very quick tool that will allow you to randomly generate a character. You also can fill in some basics if you want the things that are important to you. In this case, I'd love to make a barbarian berserker of level 3, but beyond that, I really don't care about the features. I would probably select this color character sheet portrait. It's most similar to the original character sheet, so you can kind of show it to other people and have them understand. But other than that, when you hit generate, you get a random character, in this case, a wood elf berserker, which is interesting, named Nimrael Para. And there you go, you're ready to go.
We didn't even address the absolute internet rabbit hole that subclasses are. You can have berserkers that are shooting magic, you can have sorcerers that look like dragons, and you know, there's no depth to what people can create by themselves without even looking at the book.
Sure, and multi-classing too, but I think it's important to know that at any time, if you're feeling uncomfortable with your character, just re-roll, and it's important to talk to your DM and make sure everyone's having fun and is on the same page. So if you find yourself playing a fighter and you feel like, man, I really wish I could throw lightning out my mouth, then yeah, make a new character and come again the next week with a better idea.
And if this video ended up being too short and too brief, you can find no limit to other videos to explain things to you, or I think the best way to learn is by watching. Our show Skill Check shows real beginners starting to learn D&D on camera, every aspect, story, roleplay, mechanics, and I really think that it's an amazing resource for everyone to use.
In their unfiltered and wonderful glory.
That's exactly right.